Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, helping you navigate home care and senior residences.
And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here. You might have heard me mention at the beginning of the show that today, Sunday, February 4th, is World Cancer Day, and we're celebrating some of the progress being made with the fight against cancer. Talk about fighting cancer. Joanne Photiades is an ovarian cancer survivor and proud mother of 7.5-year-old twin boys. Joanne has also been very much involved in the MUHC Foundation's Dream Big, Stop the Silent Killer campaign, and I have Joanne on the line. Joanne, welcome back to Life Unrehearsed.
Thanks so much for having me back, Matt.
Well, glad you could join me here on a nice sunny Sunday. Love your story. You've been on before, and you were the first person I thought of when we wanted to have some guests here on World Cancer Day. So can you tell us how you first found out about your ovarian cancer diagnosis?
Well, Matt, it was this time of year back in 2015. I started having very sharp pain in the lower abdomen and very discomfort. And that pain would come and go. And then it was Easter time, right? So for Lent, I had given up coffee that year. And when I started drinking coffee again, I noticed a change in my urinary pattern. I had to go to the bathroom a lot more frequently. Mm-hmm. And then it was playoff season shortly thereafter. And we would eat the same meal every game, like superstitiously, right, to make our halves win.
Right.
And I noticed that I couldn't finish half of my meal, and then it was like a quarter of my meal, and I was just like really full, really quickly, and I'm bloating, and there was menstrual irregularities, and very, very tired and unexplained weight loss. So I Googled all of those symptoms together, and it brought me to ovarian cancer. And I thought, that's not possible.
Yeah, because, of course, you're in, at the time, you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah, I was young. I was in my 30s.
And then you get the diagnosis, and you're a firm believer in really advocating for yourself. And thank goodness you did, because you ended up digging and getting the answers you didn't want to hear, but at least you were able to act and have the medical team act quickly. So what were your feelings when you got this news? Because it must have just been devastating.
Well, we were trying to get pregnant when we got the news, so you could just imagine the shock. And cancer does come into your life like a tornado. It really tears your life apart. And that's the important thing that I'd like to emphasize. I was young. I was healthy. I was not genetically predisposed. It's quite random. So that's why it's so important to know the signs.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Listening to Life Unrehearsed here. That's Joanne Photiades talking to me about her ovarian cancer diagnosis. And Joanne, you got the diagnosis. You were treated. Your world was turned upside down. You were trying to have kids. What I'd like to know, because there's certainly some other points I want to talk, and I know you want to bring up about this silent killer, but I guess to get right to it, it must have been unbelievable, because you were trying to get pregnant. At the end of the day, there was a window of opportunity, and the net result ended up being
twin boys.
You must have been ecstatic, and I can't imagine how anxious and nervous you must have been, but you ended up having twin boys 7.5 years ago.
That's right. Well, we knew that one ovary had cancer, but we couldn't see the second one because it was kind of hidden in the MRI images behind the tumor. And the tumor was over 10 pounds when it was removed, and it was growing very quickly. Like, it went from 10 by 12 to 18 by 20 centimeters in less than a month. And I made Dr. Gilbert promise me to keep the other ovary in. And we didn't know what would be the status of it, but I was hopeful. I figured I just need one. I just need one to work.
And you ended up having two. I'm glad you got a little shout out for Dr. Lucy Gilbert. We've had her on the show, and I know you personally have the utmost respect for her, and I guess you could say, if not for her, you would not have twin boys today.
I wouldn't be here, neither would my boys. I definitely owe her my life. She is literally my hero, my guardian angel, and the guardian angel of so many women as she brings the W gene test to market to make it standard care for all women in the world.
Talking to Joanne Photiades here on Life Unrehearsed, ovarian cancer survivor, proud mom of twin boys. It is World Cancer Day, and couldn't think of a better guest than having Joanne on. Now, Joanne, you are a big advocate since this happened. Look, we're going on 9 years almost now, right? Isn't it?
That's right.
How are you doing now, by the way?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. The earlier years were definitely very challenging because the outcome could have been very different, and I was very anxious about the recurrence because the one thing we did know, as much as it was very rare, we couldn't really predict its course of the next steps of what might happen. We knew it was aggressive and it would come back. So that's why it was a race against time to get pregnant and have a full hysterectomy before it came back. So I'm doing fantastic now. Thanks for asking.
Wonderful. And, you have been an advocate, a real leader, not only just raising money, but an advocate about fighting for yourself and maybe not always accepting the first answer and digging deeper. But ovarian cancer is called the silent killer, Joanne. And why is it called the silent killer?
Well, it's due to the difficulty in early detection because the symptoms are all quite subtle and easily dismissed, just like I had dismissed it. Like having discomfort in your abdomen, like change in urinary or feeling bloated or being tired, like that happens to a lot of women. And even if you have all of these symptoms, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have ovarian cancer, but it's important to talk to your doctor if a new symptom, persists for 3 weeks or more, because you want to get that early diagnosis because 80% of diagnoses still happen in phase 3 or 4. And if you catch it in phase 1 or 2, then the 5-year prognosis is about over 80%. But if you catch it in phase 3 or 4, which is when 80% gets diagnosed, the 5-year prognosis is about 10 to 30%.
So really the key there is to try to get that earlier diagnosis, easier said than done. So I was going to ask you, what is the best advice you can give to women to help prevent ovarian or endometrial cancers? And I would imagine one of those is try to get early diagnosis if you can.
Absolutely.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about Dr. Lucy Gilbert's initiative? Because this is also helping in trying to get early diagnosis, if I understand correctly.
Definitely. So Dr. Gilbert has created the Dovey gene, and you can look it up, Dovey gene, DOVEE gene.com. And she has developed the world's first early diagnosis test, and it's kind of like an advanced pap smear. It's like a genomic pap test, and it's going to become standard care for all women even soon. That's why we're raising money. We're in a $7 million campaign right now to bring this test to market.
And there has been a lot of work done behind the scenes to raise monies for this wonderful cause. And Dr. Lucy Gilbert, we're so blessed with the MUHC right here in Montreal, but leading edge technology around the world in these trials. We want to wish the best to Dr. Lucy Gilbert and people like you, Joanne, for raising the bar and helping women literally across the world. So, Joanne, I really want to thank you for taking a few minutes for sharing your very inspiring story to all our listeners. And I want to wish you continued health and success.
Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, that's Joanne Photiades, ovarian cancer survivor, proud mom of twin boys, and a leading advocate for the prevention of ovarian and endometrial cancers.